Conversation. Yang berbahagia Dato' Sri Khairul Saleh Ramli, the President and Group CEO of Maybank, and his panelists, Yang Berhormat Tuan Haji Akmal Nasrullah bin Muhammad Nasir, Minister of Economy.
Slido is it? Okay.
I'd like to invite Dato' Sri Khairul Saleh to now take charge of the conversation.
Thank you, Darren. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. First and foremost, I want to thank all of you for staying back for this last session. And indeed, it is, I guess, the peak of the day, having the host himself, Minister of Economy, on this fireside chat with the Minister. So, again, first and foremost, YB, congratulations on the appointment of U.S. Economy Minister. You mentioned this morning that you have been in the role for less than 2 months, so indeed it's a baptism of fire. I actually Googled to find out a bit more information about YB, and one interesting fact was that YB Akmal actually was born on Malaysia Day, right? Yeah, so 16th of September. So we talk about by Malaysia, for Malaysia. This is made on the day of Malaysia. But I also want to maybe ask YB to tell us something that we don't know about you, that you want us to know before we go into the serious part of the conversation, YB.
Okay, thank you, Dato' Sri. That will be the hardest part, to share something quite personal, but something in my mind, or those that are close with me, one thing, I'm not using WhatsApp. So it has been happening for 3 years. So in a sense by accident, because my phone got crashed and I lost photos and memories from the WhatsApp conversation. And then since then, I just refused to go back of using WhatsApp. And I think in the benefit of not using WhatsApp, things are not always urgency. People keep chasing you from everything under the sun. And somehow, I think it's okay to get disengaged a bit from the social
That's interesting.
media.
How would you respond? You wouldn't respond to a WhatsApp from Prime Minister?
Well, it will allow my office to work harder. Definitely, my office has to be really up to date. In fact, the fact that I got promoted without having the WhatsApp, so I'm not advising Maybank staff or everything not to use WhatsApp.
Okay.
But definitely, sometimes you need a personal time on your own.
Interesting.
And the second fact, if I can add,
Sure.
I lose 10 kilograms.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
If you look at the photo, it's quite obvious.
Yeah. Thank you.
So IB, you came on board as Economy Minister 5 months after the 13th Malaysia Plan was launched back in July, Prime Minister. So in a way, the purpose of our conversation this evening is very much to bring 13 MP back to the center stage with all the noises that we've been hearing throughout the global economic landscape. Now, we know that some of the statistics under the 13 Malaysia plan is quite ambitious, right? Targeting economic growth of between 4.5% to 5% over the next 5 years, achieving high-income nation status by 2030 of $17,470 from only about 12,000 in 2024, and achieving fiscal deficit to GDP ratio of less than 3%. Or 3% or less. So these are quite ambitious targets. And we have also heard you say that this year and 13 Malaysia Plan, as you come in, execution is the key part of the plan now for you. But we know, right, execution sometimes can be difficult. So how do you think that we can achieve all these targets, and how do you plan to monitor this, right, being the minister in charge of the 13 Malaysia Plan?
RMK 13 is not just document to be launched. In fact, there are policies for us to implement. And when we say about execution, definitely we are thinking about all the stakeholders. And when we want to deliver objective or strategies, as you mentioned, the long list that we want to achieve as a country, definitely we need to get everyone on board. When I came in, I think the Kementerian Ekonomi itself understand well enough for RMK13, the tracking must be done from the day one. We cannot only rely on kajian separuh penggal, KSP, that usually happen after midterm. And finally, towards the end, you will straight away go to the next RMK. So when we say about the tracking, we need to have a system, now is being developed in-house, to ensure the digital trail can be traced back to who is actually the owner of the initiative, who's supposed to deliver what, because the challenge of managing such document or policy, it is actually required the involvement of ministries across the board. Sometimes we tend to work in silo from one perspective, whereby to achieve certain strategies, we require many stakeholders to play along. And definitely number two, we also need to ensure not on the government side alone, but also from the private sector. How do we can actually collaborate and cooperate in a sense that for us to achieve such numbers for the growth, 5.5% annual growth for the next 5 years, if private sectors don't really respond to the government initiatives, then we are in trouble. That's why for me, RMK13, we have actually mentioned specifically about the need to improve or to increase our economic complexity, the focus on the high growth, high value industries. So usually when we come up with the policies or key programs, definitely we want to actually get private sectors to come on board.
Okay, that's great. And in the earlier session, we heard about the update on the various economic policies, NETR, NIMP, NSS. Can we hear from your own perspective about the progress of these various policies? And would you be able to share which ones are ahead, which ones maybe need a bit of a nudge, or which ones are on track?
On NETR, for example, we provide a clear vision to achieve net zero by 2050. And then we work backwards in terms of what need to be done or need to be achieved. For example, we are quite clear our commitment towards no more new coal power plant. And what does it mean? We plan to phase out completely because we are tied up to the contractual with IPPs and whatnot. The last coal power plant to be retired by 2044. And at the same time, projecting towards that goal, by 2035, we are aiming to reduce at least 50% of our coal power plant. It sounds good. It sounds there is actually a plan for it. But definitely you need to compare with the reality. In order to achieve that, definitely 31% of RE in our system. So definitely it's a progress need to be done. And you can see when we roll out LSS, example in the past, up to 5 and 5 plus, it's always about to get more solar in the system. But this year, I do believe it's not just about LSS on the generating power, but also the storage. So definitely BESS will come in more significant ways starting this year. If you're talking about NIIP, in terms of
maybe if I can interrupt you on NETR. So we're looking at solar, we're looking at hydro, gas considered renewable as well. Are we ready for nuclear?
Well, gas would be considered as our transitioning fuel. It's still not RE, but it's better than coal. In terms of our commitment to explore the possibility of nuclear, Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri has already announced even in our RMK, saying that we are exploring on the nuclear. I think, as I said earlier when I was in Petra, we may not be able to achieve net zero by 2050 if nuclear is not in the picture.
Okay, that's great. You were talking about NIMP, please go ahead.
Okay, on NIMP, for example, definitely we see the value added in terms of GDP of manufacturing is very positive. And if you look at in terms of the numbers from job being created on the manufacturing as well as in terms of the median wage, we can see some improvement. I think over the last year is about 5% increase in terms of median wage in the industry. So definitely work need to be done in terms of how can we alleviate from just a normal manufacturing towards more advanced system that we have. And on national semiconductor strategy, I think one of our target, for example, in terms of approved investment, we are aiming to get 500 billion by 2030. But based on the progress now, we have clocked in 300 billion from 2021 until today. So in that sense, we are also in the right trajectory. But again, it's not enough just to rely on the numbers, but definitely we have to see where we are in terms of the value added. Are we actually going towards value creation based economy? So those are the answers that we need to keep finding from here onwards.
Okay, okay. In the morning, during your opening speech, you spoke about GSSE, and this was part of the investment that has come into Malaysia. GSSE was a key beneficiary of the investment coming in. But again, coming back to your own observation on the progress of GSSE, if you were to rate from 1 to 10 so far, what would you put that number at? That's one. And two is, you also mentioned about the blueprint that you are going to, or there's going to be launched by March this year. Would you be able to provide some insight into what we can look forward to in the blueprint?
In terms of what we have achieved so far, as I mentioned earlier in my speech, at least the numbers very incredible. I think it surpassed anyone's expectation. We have recorded 68 billion ringgit in terms of approved investment up till Q3 2025. Definitely for me, as what I mentioned to our counterpart from Singapore, we had a meeting I think last week, whereby we agreed to move from the period of planning to execution mode. So I would not rate in terms of 1 to 10, definitely, because if I rate too high, people will get complacent. If I rate too low, then people will not be confident. So I would say not to put the numbers there. But then, as when we talk about the execution part, definitely in terms of the blueprint and in terms of master plan, we need to get everyone on board from both countries. Also within our country, to get all agencies to agree to provide the seamless process, so that whatever approved investments we get so far, how to actually realize and actually to really deliver from this year onwards. And definitely for me, when we say about execution, we need to keep actually working in terms of technical, in terms of diplomacy, in terms of meeting all the expectations from all the various stakeholders. I think, for example, I'm going to meet Yang Amat Berhormat Menteri Besar Johor on Monday, at least to get the consensus with him, and also to propose for our blueprint launching to be done in Johor Bahru.
Okay, that's great. We have heard a lot about raising the floor, raising the ceiling. Raising the floor definitely will mean increase in wages. And we also saw in the 13 Malaysia plan that as a target, right, the household income to GDP or employees' compensation to GDP would increase to 40%. And now it is hovering around, say, 35%. And there is some analysis to say that if we work backwards to achieve that kind of income to GDP, the economy needs to grow 11% per annum. But in the 13 Malaysia plan, we're only talking about 4.5% to 5.5%. So do you feel a bit of pressure trying to achieve that particular target? Will it involve a review of the minimum wage structure again? What about any views on progressive wage policy? So there's quite a bit of an ambitious target there, but if you can give an insight in terms of how the government plans to achieve that.
I think warga Kementerian Ekonomi is always ambitious in a sense of putting the target, the bar really high. And definitely when we come up with such plan, I am new custodian for it. So definitely I believe that we really have to push hard. If we look from one context, example, we have been rolling out the progressive wage policy, how government actually come in to incentivize and as well as help the companies to increase in terms of the salary given to the workers or employees. When we roll out, the target is actually to benefit 50,000 people. So far, policy-wise, we have exceeded, I think it's about 51,000 plus. So it means the implementation of that policy is really good. But again, we cannot rely heavily alone on government intervention. Definitely, we are hoping to see how the private sectors can actually look seriously on it. But to be fair to the private or to the employers, definitely wages must also reflect the productivity. So that will be the key areas that we have to really keep looking. And at the same time, from the other angle of our salary, definitely government has been introducing the minimum wage. Definitely it will keep raising the bar from the low floor to keep upgrading. But again, it may create another issue of wage compression. Basically, then employers may tend to actually offer lower wage just to be around the minimum wage. So there are actually continuous effort need to be done. But again, at least from the government perspective, the way I look at it, we are also actually honoring the part on the civil service. Recently is the second phase of SSPA revision, the remuneration program. Definitely, hopefully that will also reflect in terms of the government efficiency and the motivation as well for career progression in sense of government civil service.
Okay. I think the other point on trying to raise the floor, what I read also in the 13 Malaysia plan is about the addressing regional imbalance. So attracting investments based on local resource suitability and developing rural investment hubs are some of the initiatives to be undertaken during the 13 Malaysia plan. So in addition, 13 Malaysian plan mentioned on strengthening the digital ecosystem in rural areas. So can you, YB, elaborate on this and further initiatives which can elevate rural household income? And what are the other initiatives to accelerate the development of the less developed areas, especially in the East Coast Peninsula and East Malaysia states?
Well, I know from the time I joined KE, I think I've been talking a lot on GSSE.
Yeah.
So I'm not biased towards Johor, even though I'm from Johor. But definitely when we are talking about national development, we have to look how do we actually bring in the gap between rural and urban area, for example, from one region to another region. I think the key is, number one, we have to really realize the existing strengths of each region and making sure that we can always find ways how to uplift in terms of the value. I think another, for example, another economy perspective. I mean, now we are talking about green economy. If we are zooming into the blue economy, I'm glad to see some of the states are already talking about it, even mentioning in their budget speech last year. So definitely those states or regions, definitely they may have advantage. We are maritime nation. We can talk about Sabah for tourism industry. But at the same time, we have to find ways how to actually alleviate or increase the value of products or services that being offered. Because at the end of the day, we need to actually find ways how to develop in terms of innovation, in terms of our downstream products, so that at the end of the day, we are also tackling the opportunity at the higher margins in terms of economic opportunities.
Okay. So we've covered raising the floor, the social impact. One area that has been maybe not touched yet is on the MSME as the engine of growth. Maybe you want to touch a bit about how 13th Malaysia Plan will be focusing on the development of MSMEs to continue to be the key engine of growth.
We are touching everything today. It's like from all the angles. In terms of SMEs or PMKS, definitely the way government look on that perspective, first we have to acknowledge how significant PMKS in our economic ecosystem. In a sense, how do we actually can assist, and there are few ways to tackle the challenges facing by them. One aspect will be about how to scale them up, because we need to actually assist in terms of the capacity building. One area we know today's world, the challenge is actually to meet all sort of requirements on sustainability, example ESG and whatnot. If we miss that out without the capacity building, we are going to miss the market opportunities, even in terms of investment. And number two, as what PMKS always face the challenge, is about how to actually get the funding. That's why through the government initiative, I mean, we have scheme jaminan, pembiayaan perniagaan, SJPP, for example, and definitely it does also help our financial, especially the banking sectors, because this is where government can come in and try to de-risk, at least take some away of that challenge, because if not, without that blending mechanism, we may not I heard Maybank is actually even decoupling in terms of asking collateral for SMEs, but we can actually evaluate from different spectrums, because we need fund for our SMEs.
Just as a promotion, Maybank is the biggest lender in SJPP as well as SJKP. Since you mentioned Maybank, maybe segue a bit on critical minerals. So we see that how rare earth has become such a precious commodity and has become, in the middle of geopolitical war, so to speak, right, or battle amongst the powers that be. Obviously, we have a footprint of rare earth elements. And this is again primarily via a Lynas plant, but I understand in Malaysia we also have deposits, huge deposits of this rare earth as well. So can you then maybe provide a bit of color in terms of our policy as far as rare earth elements is concerned, and how do we then perhaps want to position this as maybe our strong bargaining chip perhaps with countries that need this type of rare earth elements?
Well, in terms of policy, I think the relevant ministries will be NRES and MITI to really look into how do we manage the value chain. Definitely in terms of how do we manage our resource, we need to move away from just exporting the raw materials. We need to impose in terms of at least the process at certain level must be done here, so that the value of the mineral itself will be actually kept to our industry, to our ecosystem. So definitely, my point of view, at the same time, managing it is not just about managing rare earth, but it's also about managing the geopolitics. Definitely, Malaysia need to be seen as consistent. At least we have some universal approach in a sense of putting certain standards, and that will allow Malaysia to be respected. When we say that REE is not just for you to take it away, we also want the values to remain in Malaysia, and definitely, hopefully, throughout all the negotiation and discussions, we can actually develop REE industry in Malaysia.
Okay. I'm still waiting for questions to come in through Slido. Not sure it's working or not, but there is still no question. But if you have questions, please put them through. Until then, YB, I'm running out of questions actually. So
That's good to hear.
But maybe one thing that we have not heard in the last few months, Padu, right? So this is supposed to be a database for government to use for many things, but somehow it has been a bit quiet now. So are you still working on Padu? And if yes, perhaps for what purpose? And if not, why?
Padu, when it's being developed, definitely there is ulterior motive for it. It's supposed to help government looking at how do we be more targeting in terms of rolling out our assistance, especially to the public, to the rakyat. And it's a repository data. Now we have about 30.7 million profiles in the system. And definitely, the way I look at it is a very good system, good database, and definitely, I am actually looking forward how to actually maximize the potential of Padu. In fact, at the moment, I am actually going through with the team at Kementerian Ekonomi, and definitely by end of this month, I'm hoping before Raya lah, to actually make some statement on Padu, like what is the direction and how do we moving forward, and how to really utilize Padu, not just from on the side of giving assistance in terms of subsidy, targeted subsidy, but also how it can assist government at the back end, for example, in terms of formulating or deciding on some policy matters, so that when we say government need to be data-driven, our policy must be data-driven. Yeah. Actually, Padu will be the key for us to achieve that objective.
Okay, okay. That will then be continued to be used, yeah? There is this announcement or signing, right, that the government has done, UK chip design IP company. Based on the announcement, Malaysia signed a $250 million 10-year agreement with UK chip design IP company nearly a year ago. Obviously, with the hope of advancing the semiconductor industry in Malaysia. Would you be able to provide an update on that?
I know I've been telling the media this is where the platform that I plan to update, but at the same time, apart from FEM, definitely we are also working on KL20, whereby it's going to be held in June. So that's where we plan to actually share more details on the update on ARM Limited. But at the same time, Dato' Sri looks so surprised. At the moment, actually, we have agreed to offer two CSS, the computer subsystem, to two companies. And if you look at in terms of the deal itself, what is actually our higher target about doing all this agreement or the plan? Definitely is about value added or value creation based economy. But at the same time, in order for us to achieve that target or that goal, we need to actually meet the requirements and the needs of the industry. One, definitely, if we are talking about moving from the back end capacity, we are really good in terms of packaging and testing. But now, when we talk about ARM, we are actually trying to push from the back end towards the front end. And when we say about front end, it's about the design, it's about the more advanced packaging, And when we say about design, in terms of the chip world, you need the IP, intellectual property. That's why when we signed with ARM, when I said that we have agreed to award or to offer to CSS, we are also looking from one is going to be about autonomous, automotive chip, and number two is about server, it's about CPU. So definitely we need to ensure that process will translate to our company's capacity or capabilities. But number two, from this deal as well, actually we have come to the agreement for ARM to actually train 10,000 of our talents to provide our talents the capacity to be part of the ecosystem. This is the tricky part because definitely it is not just about the numbers. If we talk about 10,000 quantities, 10,000 people, debatable. Yeah. Is it good? Is it enough or not? But at the same time, for me, I'm more keen to look from the quality. Sure. What kind of training that we are seeking from ARM? Definitely because the agreement allow us the engagement for 10 years. Technology changes like constantly. So how do we actually tailor the training program so that it will really uplift our talents? Because at one hand, why investments are coming to Malaysia, we have really good talent pools. People say that we have educated talents. But at the same time, because when we talk about industries that are quite niche, that require more skills, and especially the one that we are engaging involve technology. It changes from time to time. So that's why I think we need to keep upgrading our talents. So through this deal, I do believe because there are 2 or 3 ways for us to really benefit from this arrangement, and the other one will be about this flexible access to some part of the technologies that we are going to award to some of our companies. So at least they also can bring up their capacities in order for us to move towards higher end or higher value chain in terms of semiconductor. Even now we are number 6 in the world. Yeah. It doesn't mean we can be complacent about it.
Okay. So we started the morning, of course, with your opening speech, and then we had panel sessions by ministers, deputy ministers, practitioners surrounding sustainability, transition, tech and AI, aging and home ownership, healthcare. Maybe you want to provide your own reflection of the proceedings of the day, and you perhaps also want to pull out certain highlights of the day, and maybe something as a surprise, or is this all expected? So your own reflection of how today actually has gone as far as Forum Ekonomi Malaysia is concerned, 2026.
I was able to sit into 2 sessions. One full, I think, during the energy transition. Definitely with you, sitting next to me during the session, listening to our panelists. And then we also dropped by, I went to drop by to some other session. One thing, definitely I can see the excitement about our economy. Is there. And definitely the topics are being discussed, also some good new ideas being proposed. Example, I think one of during the slot or the session on the talent, one panelist actually giving some thoughts in terms of how do we improve our students on education. For example, we cannot just keep learning from the materials, but we also need to learn from the real case study, in a sense that will allow you to look from the various perspectives. Usually things that are working in the real world is not as straightforward as what we learn in school. So definitely I think the approach of providing the bigger picture, the understanding about the real situation is something that we have to really look into.
Yeah.
And definitely, since we are talking about education, for example, definitely in terms of RMK 13, we are also looking in terms of the social mobility. I know for the first 30 minutes we have been talking a lot on the economy, on how do we advance our complexity, but definitely in terms of our social mobility is also something that we really have to focus on. Reform on education has started. I mean, the idea laid out in our RMK 13, but now it's happening. Definitely on our side, we need to ensure and to actually rearrange some urgency and some mechanism in order to allow the process to take place. So definitely the priorities have to be relooked in terms of putting like on the education side and whatnot. And definitely, I think I'm helping you out because you are waiting for questions to come. But I can see a lot of questions are coming in.
Yes, finally.
Yeah. Over to you, Datuk Sri.
No, I think I just want to also add to one observation. I felt that, the Deputy Prime Minister, the ministers and of course the Deputy Ministers that were on the panel, I think they were very impressive. They were all prepared, they were engaging, and they were quite open and transparent. So, I thought that was one key takeaway for me. Again, the subject matters are given, but the way they were delivered, the way they were communicated, I thought, the government and the ministry, and of course with the other ministers have done well in doing that particular job. Yeah. So, Slido questions now. First one, will Malaysia value up as seen in Japan, Korea, and Singapore? I also don't know.
Okay. Moderator doesn't understand the question. Next.
I guess maybe, I don't know, there are learnings from Japan, Korea, or Singapore, if any, as far as economic planning is concerned for Malaysia.
Well, I mean, from Malaysia experience, definitely we used to have dasar pandang ke timur, looking to the east. Is something that we have to relook in terms of the need of having continuous cooperation. So because definitely the world dynamic is changing, but at the same time, I think for us, example when we come up with GSSEZ, it's not just about trying to compete or to run as fast as what other countries are doing, but we need to be confident enough to actually be on par with them. So I think in that sense, in terms of the enthusiasm, confidence of our country, I mean, I listened to the previous session about the fiscal and monetary topic. Definitely, I mean, by now we are not afraid to say that Malaysia is actually really on the map, and definitely in terms of what values can we learn from other countries, in terms of our policy call, is something that's memang part of KE's continuous work to focus on the studies and in terms of what kind of policy shift that we need to make.
Yeah. I will bring up these two questions together because I think they're related. So given from your perspective as a new Minister of Economy, what are the three most important changes you would do to ensure effective execution and monitoring of cross-cutting agenda? And we touched a bit about that, but there were many things. But if you were to drill down to maybe the top three, what are the three most important changes you would like to see?
Number one, definitely, how do we actually really execute? We need to really focus on higher impact agenda. Definitely, that's why when we say about HGHV, when we say about the existing policies coming in place, so to emphasize on the higher impact items must always be there. Number two, when we talk about the challenges we face, definitely there will be some underlying issues For example, we know we are facing this problem of middle income trap. It's a structural problem. We also talk about the wages. We also talk about the productivity. So definitely when we are trying to focus on execution, either like it or not, we have to actually really tackle this at the source in terms of how to get our talents to be ready. And as I said earlier, in terms of the reform need to be done, I mean, it's ongoing.
Yeah.
It started in big way for this year, example, but at the same time, looking into the next step, when we say about governance and accountability, definitely this will be one of the challenges I am throwing to my team. We are saying that we are tracking down the performance of each stakeholders. What if they don't really perform? Or how do we actually overcome and troubleshoot when things need to be addressed? So troubleshooting should not just come at the tail end, but how do we foresee if things gonna be more challenging, then how do you address the issues now rather than later?
So high impact, early troubleshooting, maybe one more, maybe?
I thought about preparing the talents earlier.
Oh, talent, okay, yeah. Talking about talent, there's a question here. How do we bridge the gap for fresh grads driving Grab due to a lack of high-tech jobs in Malaysia's move to chip design and high-value IP to avoid a lost generation of engineers?
This is not easy way to answer, because as a government, for example, you have to acknowledge the importance of the gig workers in the economy. And the services is actually one of the where most our young talents are there. So at the one hand, you have to ensure their welfare will be taken care of, especially when things are more informal in terms of the way we structurize in terms of the protection for them. But number two, we have to find ways how to move the excitement of our young talents toward higher end or the value creation based economy. So definitely when we say about certain agenda, if for example in terms of how can we actually focusing more on the innovation, it's not an easy way. It's easy to say rather than really act on it. Example, innovation is not just how can we come up with the products or services, but it's all about how to address the market needs and demands so that whatever you invent will fulfill the gap. So in terms of the perspective that we are trying to offer, definitely I feel the need for the youth to be really considered in our economic agenda. I mean, it's not just for me to look in the next 1 or 2 years, but definitely how do we reset this issue again and again? It's keep happening, but at least how do we really look from the structure wise to really encourage our talents, because doing for the gig job probably can offer better salary nowadays.
Yep.
The income is there. And whereby when we talk about the need on startup, or the need about going for technical work, usually it may take years for your remuneration to show the result as what you expect. So definitely this is where how government can actually look at this issue, but at the same time, we need the private sectors to also assist in terms of providing more conducive environment for young talents to really go for the advanced manufacturing or in terms of higher end economy activities.
Okay. There are many questions. So the next one is, Malaysia seems to be at a sweet spot now, with wages reform leading to better wage levels, while inflation is still benign. However, at some point, do you anticipate the higher wages will nudge inflation up? And how do you solve for that?
When we say inflation, it means that the price is actually price keeps increasing. That's inflation. If not, we are going to have deflation. But having moderate inflation is actually for the economy to keep growing. So when we are trying to tie up between inflation and wages, definitely the issue that we are facing, or what the argument were made, like the wages increase is not aligned with the inflation rate. So in that sense, you may actually get higher salary, but because of inflation rate is higher, your disposable income is actually lower than what it used to be in that previous years. So definitely, what we need to ensure is, like, at least when we say about wages increment, it should actually beat up the inflation rate, so that it is actually a true wage increase.
This is another, again, about the target, right? So with single economic objective, what is the single economic objective that most define the Ministry of Economy success over the next few years? Most impactful economic objective. So you have got many things, but if you have to pick one, what would be the single most important objective?
Again, when I came in, when I had the interaction with our friends of media, example, whenever they try to pose question to me, asking like, what are you going to announce in terms of policy direction, and what are you going to do to be your focus? Whenever I say about there is a need for execution, they will keep coming back to ask, what will be your new policy that you plan to announce? The way I put at it, when we say about execution, I really mean it's about execution. And my announcement about the new policy is by making no new policy announcement. That actually put me on the very difficult spot, leading such ministry and saying that I don't plan to announce any new policy, at least at this very early stage. Actually, for me, this is a sign of confidence to the team, to my predecessor, in terms of policies that being developed are really good policies. Our experience as Malaysia, usually we may have good ideas, but we don't really focus on execution.
Yeah.
Whereby when, in terms of how to execute, we have such a very good policy call on RMK 13. And definitely through RMK 13, we have various key flagship policies, NATA and NIMP, NSS and whatnot. So if I want to single out example from these documents, definitely everything is important. But coming from my perspective, definitely I want to bring the youth perspective higher or more significant, because somehow there is a gap of understanding about how economic policy works and how the youth feel about it outside. So this will be the challenge that I am actually really putting on my shoulders. When I say there is no new policy, I mean it. There should not be more new policies to be announced, even if Maybank asks for it. But so far when...
We want to help you execute this.
And in fact, by saying no new policy call, actually it gives some relief to the industries. Thank God, it's not another politician who just want to make another mark by announcing new document. And in fact, whenever the reporter then will ask me, because I think you are running out of question and running out of time, I put another question on me. because one of the engagement, they asked what kind of legacy that you want to leave or to give as the Minister of Economy. I would say, I'm too young to think about legacy.
You are
So
39 years
in that
old.
sense, let's work, focus on execution, and it's not really about me or about what kind of ideas that I want to put my mark as the minister, but it is actually, we have all the efforts being made. RMK13 is a really good document, it's a policy call that all of us should really be the custodian of it. And another advice when we plan for this event, they say to me, you need to be, it's easy job actually, you just need to be a good salesman to sell about Malaysia opportunities or Malaysia potentials. But what I want to say, I am not a good salesman. But then we have really good products. Our nation is actually really vibrant now. So hopefully in the next, in the RMK13, we can really achieve our targets.
Thank you, YB. We will be rooting for you from close and far. So with that, again, let's put our hands together to thank YB Akmal, Minister of Economy, for the excellent Fireside session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dato' Sri Khairul Saleh, for moderating the conversation. Let's have a photograph with our moderator and panelists to wrap up the session. Thank you, Yang Berhormat Tuan Haji Akmal Nasrullah bin Muhammad Nasir, Minister of Economy, for joining us for this very casual conversation. And thank you once again to Sri Khairul Saleh Ramli for moderating this very impactful discussion. And as we bring Forum Ekonomi Malaysia 2026 to a close, we extend our deepest gratitude to our esteemed speakers, our sponsors, and every delegate for your invaluable contributions. The dialogue shared here, from the integration of next-gen AI to our industries, and our advancement in green economy, have not only highlighted our current progress, but laid clear a roadmap for the future. Thank you for your commitment in shaping a more resilient and competitive Malaysia. And as you depart, we invite you to carry forward the spirit of today's discussion and turn these strategic visions into impactful actions within your respective fields. Thank you for joining us once again for FEM 2026. Sekian wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We'll see you again next year in 2027.